Hey, it's Coach with Tactical Hyve out here on the range. Today I brought some shotguns out. These are kind of a representation of the shotguns that we were using throughout my career in the teams. And prior to me, back to the Vietnam guys, they had these old Ithacas with the duck bill and all that. The point man would roll with that. And by the time I got there, that had kind of gone away. The good old Remington 870 was the tool that we were using. This one has a slightly longer barrel than the one I was using back then, but it basically had assumed the role of breacher. So a shotgun can work really good knocking hinges off of doors and locks. So you just shoot the lock mechanism. We would use slugs if there was no danger of friendlies being on the other side of the door. All right, bird shot is what we started using with to breach doors because at close range, it's devastating, it hits hard, but it doesn't have as much lethal effect on the other side, and especially once it's hit a locking mechanism or a hinge. And plus you'd aim down at an angle into it so you get mostly, the pellets would go down for the lower hinges and the lock and then up for the top hinge. To do that, most with the a standard grip like this, that's not a pistol grip, you can turn the shotgun over, and that's how you would address the lower stuff. Plus staying out of the way of the door, you would stand back. Okay, so this isn't ideal, but it worked. We didn't have lights on or anything like that. They worked all right. I mean, it was a breacher thing, and we just kind of used off-the-shelf stuff at that point. So this is your standard police Magnum 870. Just a good solid piece, and they work. Wet, dry, sandy, muddy. I mean, these things they just work. They plug along really nice. A little later on my career, some aftermarket stuff started coming in, and we started going with pistol grips because now we got a pistol grip. I can get a better angle here. I don't need anything, to back this up when I'm, shooting into a door. And again, most of my experience with shotguns is shooting things really, really close. Now, in the event that you breach a door and you have to make entry as number 3 or 4 man, you're going to use the gun in your hand, and that's what this was. Initially, we didn't have this nub here, and I talked to the gunsmiths that we had at Dam Neck, good guys. They really didn't want to put a vertical foregrip on the pump handle here because if you have a full one, you can really torque on that sucker, and you can damage a shotgun that way and cause it to malfunction or even break it, the rails there. A little later in my career, at first I just had them cut down MP5 or the SD, and that little shorty vertical foregrip on there. We cut those down and had them attached to our short shotguns, and that just allowed you to get in here and you could make your shot, and it was easier to address, and you didn't have enough on there to really grab and torque down. Later on when I was at Warcom and we started buying the Tango Down vertical foregrips, I talked those guys into making a little nubby for all the breacher shotguns at Group, and they turned out they sell more of those than they do the full-size ones now. I'm not getting a check for that though, I don't know. Anyway, so the other things on here, got a rail in case you want to put a red dot on there. Extended magazine tube. This is the light that we would put on there, and normally this had a pressure switch here, but we had electronics guys that we put it over here because I like to work this with my thumb on, off, just roll here. So that's what we started doing. We started running around with these, right? And then, as life goes on, high-tech stuff comes out. We moved on. Now this is an 1187. We would have the Benelli, I forget the model, the first ones, but the M4 was the last one when we were leaving. It was a semi-auto shotgun, put some cool stuff on it. This one doesn't have a light, but I think there was a light on one. Your main breacher guys were running around with these. And then we only went to war. And guys found out that semi-automatic shotguns are not as reliable as pumps. And when we were just, rolling over to the kill house to do runs, that was fine because you just run around the house with your cool gun. But in real life, you get out there and, it's going to take you an hour to get where you're getting, and you might have to address other threats along the way. So guys, pretty much, there were, first pump over, there were guys running with these. Of course, they had a bunch of other guys around them with, you know, ARs and vehicles with heavy guns and air. And so there was some protection there, but we quickly realized that this was not the way to go. So this one is a representation of the shotgun that we started using. It's an 870. This one has the legal 18-inch barrel, but the one I was rolling around with, it was a 10-inch shotgun. It has 3-round magazine, so you could have 3 rounds and one in the tube. And we had this hooked up. I had mine hooked up on a bungee, so it just hung right here. Okay, and I'd run around with my my M4, my little 10-inch with a suppressor on it. You know, going to work with that one. And when you found something that needed a application of shotgun, you just pull this out, do your shooting, reload it off your belt, and then shove it back in. You weren't entering though, because with only 3 shots, chances are, you know, sometimes you can get a lock with 1. Sometimes a lock and a bolt's going to take you 2. And if you only got 4 shots in here, I don't want to be entering the room with 2 shots left in a pump gun. Anyway, but it was a good, you know, you could shoot this, drop it, the bungee would, you know, have it fall back here, and I could be on my M4 fairly quickly if I was needed in the stack. So, you know, again, this one has the rail on it in case you want to put a little red dot on there or something. But you know, this one's got an extended magazine because what the hell, I got to have the barrel that long anyway. Might as well have more rounds, right? So this one doesn't get a whole lot of use, but sure looks mean. So then we got a couple of historical thing here. This is a Martini Greeners. This was the British Empire's answer, you know, back just before the turn of the last century. Their colonial forces, they would give them these. This is a riot shotgun. It's a single shot breech loader. Single shot, and it wasn't a 12 gauge at the time. It was a specialized round that they had made. So if you bonk someone over the head, you're a bad guy, and you got one of these, you couldn't just go run and buy ammo. You'd have to have this specialty ammo. Well, when I got this, I had it converted to 12 gauge, and it shoots nice. And again, I'm not using this for home defense, but it's kind of fun to rack that sucker and have that Hulk, you know, fly over your shoulder. And it's just a good basic gun. Really nice, but this is like the beginning of riot shotguns, right? You know, and anyway, yeah. So we got that one, and then Miles. I mean, it's funny because this thing is lighter than everything else on the table, but it's huge. Carbon fiber. I think it's got a 14-round magazine in it. Benelli, which one is this? The M2. So this is what he uses for competition. And again, I'm not going to be using this for home defense. You know, you think it's like musket length. You know, you're not going to get around anything real easy with this. So it has almost no tactical application, but when he runs this, it's pretty smooth. I shot this and it's surprisingly, it soaks up a whole lot of recoil. So if you've got somebody who is a little recoil sensitive and you want to get them in on shotguns, I'd say this would be a really good place to start. But, you know, good for competition, and it's kind of like a drag racer. You know, a Formula One drag car. You're not going to take that grocery shopping, right? So here's your dragster, right? And this is more your grocery getter here. And this comes at a premium price. I'm afraid to ask Miles how much he paid for it, but we'll see if he gets it back. Huh? Anyway, guys, so just a quick run through. You know, the shotguns that I've, you know, encountered in my career. Shotgun's a good tool. It's a really good tool, but it has its place. Home defense, I'm not a big advocate because you got to account for every pellet. And man, you miss with one, it could possibly have lethal effect through a door or, anyway, just, I like rifles mostly, pistols secondary, but I'll do another video on all that. Into shotguns, and if you like this content, like, subscribe, leave me some comments.